לך אמר ליבי, בקשו פניי את פניך, אדוני. לך אמר ליבי, בקשו פניי את פניך, אדוני. לך אמר ליבי, בקשו פניי את פניך, אדוני. אבקש, אבקש, אבקש את פניך, אבקש את פניך. לך אמר ליבי, בקשו פניי את פניך, אדוני. לך אמר ליבי, בקשו פניי את פניך, אדוני. אבקש, אבקש, אבקש את פניך, אבקש את פניך. Please join. אבקש את פניך,
I'm going to try this. Toda. So the fact of the matter is I didn't really prepare this afternoon session because I figured that as we are here together during the morning, what will emerge will emerge. And for those of you who've been with me in the past, I was prepared with lots of wise sources from our tradition that have to do with today. Many of them are in the booklets that I want us to look at in a moment, but I didn't pick any particular one. I wanted to invite whoever is here, welcome, to just take some time out together and see what comes up from the privilege of pausing midday, this day, using some beautiful music to ground us and meditate us, and we'll come back to Netanel in a little bit. Actually meditating a little bit together, just sitting in silence together. And for those of us who've been counting and have been on the 40-day journey into today, to really honor the journey that I know many of us have been on, day by day, painstakingly gathering ourselves to be here now. How many of us are fasting? I'm assuming not a few, right? A lot. So, right, when was the last time we did that? Maybe a year ago? Maybe Tisha B'Av? Maybe your last colonic? I don't know. But, so that too, it feels like, it's been almost 24 hours of not eating. So that beautiful, trippy, dizzy feeling. And this opening prayer that we started off, we were talking about it during the break. The seeking, in the literal translation, I will seek God's face. So I'm not sure what that means exactly. Not in the literal and not in the metaphorical. I'm not sure what it means. But I have the hunch and the understanding that in some way that the reason I'm here today and I've spent the last 40 days every day prepenting and building up is for that. For a type of inner seeking of divine face. And here's the trick with Hebrew. The word panim in Hebrew means face. The word pnim in Hebrew, same word, just a tiny bit different vowel, means inwards, insight. So to say, divine, I seek your face, is basically a way to say, I'm really seeking for a way to look myself in the face. I'm really seeking a way to go as inside as I can. And that's the invitation. Way pre-Freud, way pre-therapy, someone's in our history figured out that in order for the human machine to operate well, every once in a while, we're going to have to gently bring ourselves back onto our road. You know, when you're driving late and your road hits the, what are those things called on the side? Those things. That's what they're called? Nathaniel, in Israel, maybe. What are they called? Those like margin things that like, huh? That. When you're like, oh, back on the road, because, So I think that's the invitation for us to do just that. And for some of us, that means Yom Kippur. We show up on Yom Kippur, the day before, maybe Rosh Hashanah. In the Jewish tradition, there is this hardcore invitation to go 40 days. Every day from the first day of Elul, build up towards now. If you really want to go hardcore, it's 60 plus days. It begins with Tisha B'Av. Talked about it last night. Begins with a day of fasting back in the summer when we remember the destruction of the temple and all that's sacred. And we revisit the notion of shatteredness. And then we start building up. Can't rebuild before dealing with the rubble of your past. So it's a 60-day process, a 40-day process, a 10-day process, a 1-day process, really to do this, to seek the face, to go inside. I see at least a few therapists amongst us, and I'm assuming that most of us have gone through or are going through right now some kind of soul work at some point. So that's what happens in the therapist's office, face to face. I don't know about you Freudians, but we're just trying to seek a way in. And we might or might not talk about what does it mean to do that in the context not of human psychological metaphor, but in theological language. What does it mean to seek God's face? In the abstract language of our people, God has no face. It's not Zeus and it's not Jupiter. It isn't Jesus. It's not Kali. Buddha is not a god. I know, but he's sort of up there. Our divine is invisible. So what does it even mean residually, metaphorically, to want to experience the sense of one-to-one, face-to-face with the divine who's faceless? They're like giving us a paradox. They're making it hard. Probably on purpose. But I think that's the goal of Yom Kippur. We are just now at that time. For those of you who were with us last night, when I talked about the Holy of Holies, this is just that moment when in our ancient map of the sacred, the high priest, highest designated human, would enter the Holy of Holies. A small chamber where two cherubim, face to face, eye to eye, would be stationed for nobody to see, like the best piece of art that nobody gets to see. And in the middle of the gaze between their eyes is where the divine, she, the Shekhinah, she dwells. And it's just an energetic field. And once a year, the high priest would go in and hit restart, not by pressing anything, but by lighting incense, which is like a vertical stick between heaven and earth, inside there, mutter some prayers that we don't know, and come out. And that would be the restart for the nation. This is this moment right now, afternoon. We've done so much crying and praying and laughing and being almost at the home stretch. And that's when you enter the Holy of Holies, to seek the face. So my question, invitation for us is, what the hell does that mean? And how do we do it? What practices do we have at our disposal to do that? What's stopping us from doing it? What's going to enable us, should we want to, as individuals or as a group, to do it? So I'm going to unleash a way of trying to solve this, or maybe at least ask it better in a moment. But I want to share a short confession with you that has to do with restart. So I've been keeping this prepent blog now for 40 days, as of today. It's really been a chore of love, because it made me every day, cut through the bull and say, what am I thinking about today? And when we first started with Dan Siratsky, who was a good friend and who took over some of our web stuff, we organized for him and me, for me to send him a few ahead of time, and then he's going to tweet and face and, get them out there. And we did that for the first week because I was away at some crazy fairy gathering in California and I had to be prepared ahead. But then after that, I was like, I couldn't do it at anything more than one day at a time. I needed the energy of the day to know where I'm at. So I ended up posting them. And I think I did a pretty good job. Thank you very much. Right? They tweeted, the Facebook, they blogged, the whole thing. Many of you commented, which meant that this morning I had to do it because Dan wasn't on. So I got up early and I knew what I wanted to write. Basically, if you got it, you saw it. I'm assuming you all unplugged, but maybe not. I wasn't. And it was just, you are here now. Welcome to the Holy of Holies. Here's what happens when you go inside. Instructions. I had it ready ahead of time, but I had to actually hit send. And my Wi-Fi at home wasn't working. Like the network is down. I'm like, what? 7 o'clock in the morning, I gotta go. And I'm like, no techie. I'm thinking, how the hell am I gonna get this thing back on track? I need to send this thing. It's the 40th one. I can't screw this one up. I've no. Ah. And I said, all right, take a deep breath. You can handle this. And I went to the black box. This thing behind my computer with a wire that, I don't know, somebody set it up a long time ago. I don't mess with things like that. I think I'll be electrocuted or something. And I do what I do. I unplugged the whole thing and kicked it, hoping when I plug it again, it will be back to, and then it didn't work. Surprise. And then I looked at the black box, really, really closely, and I saw a little button on the top, on the back, in red, that said, restart. And I said, okay, got it, thank you. And I took a pen with the tip and I did restart, and it worked, right? You got it. It's received in your inbox. And I was chuckling to myself that I got to do this morning what I've been talking about this whole damn time, that we need to somehow find a way to hit restart on our machine, heart, mind, the whole shebang, that just sometimes is offline. We get off kilter. We forget. We go off the road and that sound. And really what we want to do, we want to be in this face-to-face, at least with ourselves, at least part of the time, and figure out a way to enter that domain where we can hit restart. And there's so many ways of doing it. And I know many of us are experts in doing it. There are week-long detox camps, and there are therapy techniques, and there are a billion other ways. But we're here in this Jewish technology. Yom Kippur, fasting is part of the detox. I'm barefoot. Many of us are. I had to explain to my children today, they're like, why are you barefoot? What's going on? I'm like, because we're emulating our death. It's a dress rehearsal. It's a manipulation. I'm dead as a corpse. I'm barefoot as a corpse. I'm wearing white as a shroud. I'm not eating or drinking. I'm sort of like dead, so I can really focus on what's inside. That's why that happens. And sneakers is just a way to make that a little more socially adaptable. So that's our technology for the day. To hit restart, to see a face to face inside, eye to eye in my inner box. And the question that I keep coming back to is, how do we do that? Today? And ideally not just today. But let's be honest, deadlines help. So in a moment, I want to ask you to go into little clusters of 2 or 3 or 4 for about 15 minutes of dealing with this question, and maybe looking at some of our texts here, that some of them I think have grand answers. But before that, I really want to open it up. We're an intimate enough group. What do you think? What are some techniques that you're familiar with, aware of, well-versed with, to go inside, beyond the bull, into the ring?
I actually just want to pick up on the face-to-face. God doesn't have a face, so what does it mean face-to-face? And I think it really means look into the eye of the other person or of yourself, and that's sometimes the hardest thing to do, is to look directly in the eye of somebody and try to understand them. Try to understand, if it's yourself, then understand yourself. But looking into their eye is, I think, what that means, at least to me.
Yeah, so if you pass it back. A good exercise, a hard one. How long can you look yourself in the mirror? Just like, not check yourself out. Just eye to eye into the mirror. Anyone ever done it? What's the longest you've survived without totally feeling like an idiot? 15 seconds? Right, it's like underwater, right? How long can you do it? Yeah, I had once never mind, long story, weird day in a hotel in Berlin where I thought I was losing my mind. And the only way I could retrieve some sanity was sit in front of the mirror and look myself in the eye and say, "You're okay. You're okay. You're okay." Rare, really crazy, induced, the whole thing.
Hi. Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. To go inside, to me means sometimes I'm faced with something that really is overwhelmingly scary. It's just something I can't deal with, and I use music to do that. Music, I have a lot of music on my iPhone, and I put it on, and I'm somewhere else. I'm inside my head. I'm inside my music, and things that just seemed really scary before aren't anymore. I have a whole host of songs, lots of things. So some Jewish spirituals, some other spirituals, a whole bunch of things.
Will you share your playlist? I could use some new
Oh, well.
music.
My miracle right now is Barbara Streisand. She has a new album out, and it's just amazing. She has a song, not pushing her album, really I'm not, but she has a song where she does it with her son, Jason Gould, and she was estranged from him for many, 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 many years. And now they're together again, and she does this song on this album with him, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, you listen to it, and you can't not be moved by it. It's called How Deep is the Ocean. That's the name of the song.
Beautiful. All right, so we're just collecting really handy tools here for just inwardness, mindfulness. And I know this can become cheesy in an instant, but let's just keep it in the practical, right? Find a way to look into someone else's eyes for more than 15 seconds, not blink, honor their presence, someone you know or don't know, easy on the subway, gonna freak them out.
Not on the subway. Not on the subway.
And find a mirror near you, close the door, look in your eyes. How long can you last? Great. And then music. Create your inwardness playlist. I will say I downloaded an app about a year ago called Mindfulness. It's supposed to think. I never used it. But they are useful. So good. So those are some techniques. We're going to take a few more, and then we'll see what Reb Zalman has to say about it.
Well, I have two that I practice regularly. One is reading the obituary section every day in the New York Times, and I look at the ages at which people died and the causes of death, and it forces me to realize that we don't have forever on this earth, and things happen, and it gives me a perspective, just to really be aware of mortality, myself and others. So I just read those every morning. If I don't have time to read the whole thing, I just go to the age and what they passed away from. And then the other one is something that I call the dream maker, which is, to me, is like a god that brings dreams at night. In biblical times, it was believed to be God. Nowadays, you might think of it as an intelligence, or some people look at it as even coming from the brain. But I've noticed that if I pay attention to my dreams, write them down, see what they say, that almost always there's some kind of wisdom, and it's some dream maker, some intelligence trying to show me something, tell me something, make me more aware of something. And I really have a sense of awe toward it. And it works in a reciprocal way, that when I show that respect and awe, it generates more and gives more to me. So it's like a reciprocal relationship. Yeah.
All right. So looking into your eyes, music, reading the obituaries in the morning. Wow. It reminds me of those Helene, those like the memento mori art, right? Is it like Flemish medieval thing? Yeah, like so there's always like this still life, like with some dead rabbit or a skull or something, and memento mori, remember death, as a way to just count your precious moments on earth.
I think that one really simple way, one really simple opportunity we all have each day to look inwards is the Shema. I feel as if, I don't know, with my brother, he calls it the Shemantra, and we lengthen it. It's like Shema, yeah.
Shema Israel. Shamantra.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, and it's like, you know my brother, so you'll understand why. Chaniel Levinson. Yeah. So yeah. I'm Chloe. My sister's Rainey. So yeah. So we lengthen the Shema, and the way that he defines it is like that we're all divine strugglers. And so I actually really feel like that's a really amazing opportunity to look inwards, because you actually have to cover your eyes, and you have to keep that energy in and take that moment to say, like, I'm going to sing this slow, beautiful song that I don't think about, but if I really think about the fact that it's a chance for me to think about how I'm a divine struggler and there is something divine in me, then it's an amazing opportunity to find that kind of those pieces, those broken pieces, and like, how do we fill them? He told me to go.
I love all of these. They're so wonderful. I think for me, I ask a couple of questions about the mystery. Sometimes I can hardly believe I'm in this city, in this life, in this time. I have a sort of strange sense of time and purpose. I keep asking God to help reveal my purpose. So there's some kind of way in which there's prayer. But the other thing is beauty. I find every day there's something wonderful. I like walking out of Shul last night here, seeing the angle of the new World Trade Center building, whatever it's now called, looking at the lights, and it just feels holy and magical. Being in the city, for me, feels holy and magical. But finding beauty, when I met you, Amichai, yesterday, before the services began, you said to me, turn around and look at the moon. And that's exactly the kind of thing I mean. It's like noticing, just taking a moment and noticing, and that matters so much to me.
So a couple more, and then let's go into little groups. Yeah.
Yeah, my answer is somewhat paradoxical. You know, in my work, I'm privileged enough to have people trust me with very personal experiences, and I find that it's very difficult to look inside when we're alone, because there's so much going on in there, and it's hard to find a focal point. But when you're with somebody else and they're explaining to you their experiences, their struggles, their happiness, their pain, we all have so much in common. And if you can really be with somebody in their pain, and if you really allow yourself to be present, or their happiness, it has to activate similar thoughts and feelings in you. And that's what it does for me. And before I know it, I'm looking inside, and I'm with somebody.
Are you a bartender?
Only after 9.
Thank you. I mean, look, just listening to what you're all bringing up, from the mirror to the music to the obituaries to beauty to just paying attention to finding ways to ritualize, to finding someone to do this work with. You know, so again, therapy is what, 100-something years old as we know it, but the practice of finding a chavruta, the Hebrew word for a study partner, or someone to really have dialogue with, whether it's your married partner or a good friend or a neighbor or just your tennis buddy, where you can just sit and share the human condition and grow with compassion and see something I quote my friend Debbie often, and she might be on. Debbie, if you're there, in Yerushalayim, Gmar Tov, Toda. We all hold our cards close to our chest, and when we open them up, we all got the same cards. So there's something so soothing and right in finding the person to talk with, heart to heart. Thank you.
I like to dance, so that, I don't know, whenever I dance, that just, I don't know if I'm releasing it. Well, I definitely release it, but it also just gives me a moment where I'm really with it, whatever it is at that moment. So any sort of physical activity really grounds me to whatever I'm sitting with.
Thank you. And Helene, over there?
I personally, thank you. The actual word for face in Hebrew is panim. There is no singular word for it. And so I like to think that God has many faces. And I like to think that the word I will seek means that we don't accept everything right away, but we seek, we keep looking. And we know there are many, many ways. And it's not just the Torah, it could be the Kabbalah, it could be so many other things. And we should keep seeking.
Thank you. So I see more hands. We're going to do another round in a bit. What I want to do right now is two things. First, I want us to just sit quietly for 2 minutes. Thank you. Maybe 3. Just sit. I'm sure some of us have meditated. Some of us haven't. Watch your breath. Sit quietly. When thoughts come in, thank them. Let them be. Let's just sit quietly. Maybe we're seeking a face. Maybe we're going inside. Maybe we're just sitting here, minding our own business.
קורא מתוך החשיכה. האר לי אורך בחשיכה. האר לי מטובך במקום שאני נמצא. קורא לך עניה, שומע תפילה, קרב עיניך אליי שאוכל לראות בחשיכה. בת יד אליך שתפתח אותי, שתראה לי את עצמי, מי אני ומה אני, מי אני ומה אני, מי אני ומה אני, מי אני ומה Light me up, light my soul, light my way, my ways. Light me up, light my heart, light my soul. להרגיש אותך איתי. להרגיש אותך איתי. להרגיש אותך איתי. Light me up, light my soul, light me up, dance my soul, light me up.
I think I should just let you all nap. So here are your options. They are multiple. Some of the options include doing whatever the heck you want, napping, staying here with your eyes closed in the sweet rare privilege of pausing midday in this sacred container we're all building here together. And another option is to find, just like we heard, a talk partner to dance with. Maybe coming off of a couple of the passages that we've collected in these booklets from the hearts and minds of wise elders who are with us in spirit. We have another half hour till the official close of this little session. Our interfaith begins at 4. So I want to invite you to explore the question that we're exploring here today. How do I go inside? What is an actual tool, technique, device that I can walk away with from this Yom Kippur so I can access this Holy of Holies on any given day? We've heard a bunch, and they're useful. Maybe there's more. So I'm a student of Beit HaMidrash, the Jewish sport of opening texts and letting see what rises and speaks to our own hearts. Cool? So, instructions. Chill out, nap, meditate. Find a study partner. There's lots more copies of our booklets over here. And I want to especially send you to the teachings of Reb Zalman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. They're on page 12, 13, and 14 of our booklets here. He talks about the spirit of today, regret and fixing, and Yom Kippur. And he talks about what it's like to enter a shul or a sacred experience. So I want to invite you to find someone or someones to sit with for about 15 minutes, really no more. It's now 3:20. At 3:35, I'd love us to come back together and see if any nuggets, any more tools arose. We're going to wrap with one more tune from our beautiful healer over here. And then we'll all collectively nap into our next installment of this sacred pilgrimage. All right? Copies here. Find a way to make these next few minutes work. If you don't have a study partner and you feel a little shy, well, A, get over it, and B, let's find little clumps. Could be 2s, 3s, 4s. Cluster. Yeah, over there, Libby's got some folks. Don't do this alone. I mean, nap is good, but words, find people to poeticize with.
קול נעימות עולה ויורד, הולך ומשוטט בעולם, קול שופר נמשך בעומקי המדרגות, מסובב הגלגל סביב, קול למד אותי להיות נהר של אור אל לב אבות העולם. למד אותי לשרת את ליבו של העולם. ברבי יצר טוב לעובדך באמת, ואל יתנגש אמת שבי באמת. למד אותי לשרת את ליבו של העולם. ברבי יצר טוב לעובדך באמת, ואל להתנגש אמת שבי באמת של אחר. ברבי יצר טוב לעובדך באמת, ואל יתנגש אמת שבי באמת של אחר.
It saddens me to interrupt this holy mumble. But alas, we're going to need to end this part in a little bit so we can set up for our interfaith prayer for peace. Whole stage setup needs to happen. So I'm hoping that these brief moments of dancing from words and into hearts are just the beginning of continued conversations with people you just met or know really well, and perhaps most importantly with ourselves. So I'm curious, whether from the words of Reb Zalman or from each other's musings, dreamland, anything came up? Any other useful tips and tools for access into within, into self? Oh yeah, there's a mic, thank you. And please, let's just keep it brief because we have 5 minutes and I want to hear from as many of us and have a closing song. So just a tip.
I've been thinking about two words. It's a phrase. I've been thinking about two words, a phrase in Hebrew, hidor mitzvah. And I've been studying the flags that the children made over the weeks. I recommend highly, I've been studying them in between things, in between the flowers, which is hidor mitzvah in and of itself. I've been thinking a lot about hidor mitzvah.
Which you want to translate?
I'd prefer if we just left it for a minute and you can translate it afterwards. It has to do with the beautification of the mitzvot that have to do with the rituals that we're doing, the ark that Toby made, the flowers, the flags, the music. The reason that people like us are here today and the things we heard earlier, the obituaries, the dancing, Haniel, my second grader, rabbi, I'm dying here. The profundity in this room is all Hidur Mitzvah. And if you take a minute before you come in for the interfaith service and you study the flags of the children, the next generation, my 85-year-old father last night said to me, why did Amichai not mention the flags? And he's a lawyer, he's not an educator, but he raised one. He said, Sarah, look at the flags. I'm done. I'm done. You know my father, you can hear him saying, look at
So I will say art. Hidur mitzvah is a Jewish concept, which is, it's about upgrading the commandment into art, making art out of life. So music, the flags, and Leah Lynn, who's here, who helped us create many art forms. These high holy days coming all the way from New Mexico with your clay kodesh persona, amen. And Sarah, who helped make the flowers and all the flags that were created by grown-ups and kids. No, they're amazing. I'll tell you, I was at that retreat that I was at in California that I had to get all the preprints ahead of time. So I was sitting there. It's a bunch of pagan fairies. Never mind. It was actually a global spiritual LGBT leadership week. It was very powerful. And I'm sitting there in the pool, and I'm hearing these two guys talking, and they're saying my name. And I don't have my contacts in, so I can't really see what's going on. So I'm kind of swimming over, and it's this two guys who I haven't seen in years, and they're talking about something I've done in Israel. And we started talking, and then, I don't know, somehow, we started talking about our holidays. One of them is a rabbi. What are you going to do? And somehow prayer flags came up. And he said, we've been making prayer flags. And I thought, that would totally make this space into something else. And I texted Bryce and the team, and I'm like, guys, I got a great idea. You're going to hate it. We have to figure out how we're going to make prayer flags. And then, lo and behold, next to Hidur Mitzvah and people. So another way to get inside, I would say, just to sort of hijack what you said, is making art. What a way to contemplate. Go inside, whatever that means. Thank you, Sarah.
Hi. We were having a conversation and speaking about how to see within with a partner and what that means. And there's something about, there are certain people who come into our lives that no matter what our armor is or what kind of face we're showing, there's something about how they see us and the expression on their face. In a way, when we see the expression of them seeing our truth, it suddenly becomes undeniable to us. And we are revealed by their seeing within. And so that becomes a kind of a disarmoring and a going inward from another person.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So lovely that words like what's your name?
Cecilia.
Cecilia, hi.
Hi.
Again. That we're in this tender zone right now, right? Where, I don't know, I feel like I got a cynic inside and wah, 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 wah. But on a day like this, a little cynic inside is just probably just too exhausted from fasting. So just the heart opens up. We'd like to retrieve a 60th of this energy right now into our daily New York life. A 60th. A smidge. Any more tools? Yeah, Ilana, can we pass the mic here? Cecilia, thank you.
This is less a tool, but just thinking about seeking the divine and what you talked about Yom Kippur, where we put on all this white, but as a death practice, but also as a way of removing ourselves from the roles that we play. So we take off our jewelry, we don't make love, we don't, so we're not a wife or a husband or a father or a mother. We're just our essence. And so we're how do we seek that essence with ourselves? And that everybody is that, that part of what our wars are about is our inability to see that pure essence that's separate from any identity, that is just our divine spark. So that, to me, feels like part of what this practice is. And a tool that we actually use is called spring cleaning. And you have something that's going on, whatever it is, and you call up, you just ask to be witnessed. And so, for example, I want to spring clean on the topic of my father. And you just, for 5 minutes, or you set a time, and the person just listens, and you say, the person asks you, what do you have on your father? And you just go from a very stream of consciousness place, and the person says, thank you, what do you have on your father? And you go and go and go, and they say, they don't give you any feedback, they just say, thank you, it's been an honor to hold space for you. And it's just a place where all this just comes up. And it's a reminder that, that often is a pain place, but that Adrienne Rich has a poem, and she says, the source of your wound is also the source of your power. So when you can be honest and have a space to allow it to come out, then your power is also there.
So I just want to mention one more tool, and I want to ask you, before you sing us out of this sweet session, to share with us one of your tools, because you've got lots. And I want to say my last thing that I re-owned this past year is taking a walk. Like I sit in front of the computer, I work, I'm like, oh, turn off your computer, leave your phone on your desk, and go out and take a 10-minute walk around the block. Ideally to the park. Just get out. Just take a walk aimlessly. Let my ears, my eyes, my heart just tune in whatever the noises, if there's birds, whatever. Just like take a walk. Not even on the wild side. Just take a walk. And I have a good friend who, and I'm not extolling virtues or vices, but she sits on her balcony whenever she needs to. It's not you, Sarah, with your cup of tea in the morning. That too. And the obituaries. We're glad you're on the same page here. And, smokes a cigarette. And I was like, seriously? She's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I do it every few days. It calms me down. It takes me inside. So I'm like, okay. All I'm saying, there are ways of going in. Some of them healthier than others, cheaper than others. And meditation. In Hebrew, the word for meditation is hitbonenut. Hitbonenut, which really means face, looking, seeking. That's the Hebrew word. It's an ancient Hebrew practice. We do it all the time. So what's yours?
To go out and lie on the ground. That's all. For me, like going out to I hate cities. I don't live in a city. But even where I live, I have to go out from my concrete that doesn't have movement. I have to go to a place that has movement, like the basic of movement, and it's nature, it's outside, and to be connected to the ground. So just lying down on the ground, not on the floor, on real earth. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't matter, just to sink inside the womb of Mother Earth. That's all. I'm back to myself. So, יברכך. יברכך אדוני וישמרך. יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונק. יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
So Nathaniel is choosing to end with his version of the priestly blessing that we've been singing here at the end of the mornings. We've just spent an hour inside the Holy of Holies as high priests and high priestesses, high on this fast, deep in this presence. So this priestly blessing, find someone's pair of eyes at some point during this song. Take Michael's advice for just a second of unembarrassed, eye to eye. Ideally, someone you don't know. It's okay. You guys can do it too, but go for it, Eliza. Choose someone's eyes you don't know. I'll do it too.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום שלום יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום יברכך אדוני וישמרך יאר אדוני פניו אלייך ויחונך יישא אדוני פניו אלייך וישם לך שלום שלום יישא אדוני פניו אלייך וישם לך שלום 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 וישם לך שלום וישם לך שלום וישם לנו שלום שלום
Amen. Thank you for joining us in the Holy of Holies. We're going to put the house music on softly. We're going to do some setup here on stage for our interfaith prayer of peace. It will start just a little bit after 4. Feel free to stay here in quiet meditation mode. Go take a little nap, take a little walk, lie on the ground, read the obituaries, go whatever. We'll be right here and we'll continue in just a bit this beautiful afternoon. Thank you. Toda Netanel. Oh, and one more thing. The ark is still open. If any of you want to just take a moment in front of her, it's open all afternoon long till we break.